Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Um, my name is Hassan. I am the CTO of Owl Project Management. Um, Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to give it another minute or two here as people filter in. Looks like most people joined in the last minute or two here, so let's give everybody another minute or so. Okay, cool, awesome. I think we're good to get started here. Cool. All right, so thanks so much, everybody, for joining. My name is Hassan. I'm the CTO of Owl Project Management. We're a project management software company, and I want to show you today some of the stuff that we've been working on, specifically zooming in a little bit on scope completion and making sure that your project is fully scope complete. But we are going to touch on a few other things as well. So if you have questions or anything in the middle, maybe just like if you want to throw them in the chat or like raise your hand or whatever, and I can get to those, like even if it's like in the middle of something I'm talking about. So cool. Let me share my screen, and we can get started here. Okay, you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, cool, thanks. Okay, all right, so I just have some slides that just to help us kick things off. So I want to be talking about the missing parts of your schedule, right? That's kind of what I'm going to be zooming in on. Like I said, we're going to touch on a few other things, but what does that look like in your schedule? And sort of the subtitle is like the schedule review for the new age. And I hope I can. It's kind of a bold statement, but hope I can convince you of that today. So schedules miss up to 15% of the project scope. This depends on a lot of things, the industry you're in and like the kind of company it is and everything. But it's very, very common in our world for scope to just like fall through the cracks as we build out a schedule. And so right now, it's one of those things that surprisingly not too many people are trying to tackle this problem, and it's enormously expensive for that reason. So why does it happen? So schedules are built under time pressure. Again, that really depends on your industry. Some are worse than others, as I'm sure you know. Manual translation from scope documents to activities. This represents basically an enormous amount of work. Usually, reading, depending on the kind of project and everything, often, thousands of pages of, specs or plans or what have you. And, being able to sort of, map those to activities. Obviously, I'm skipping a few steps in there, but, you know what I mean? Like, you have like a massive amount of scope and you want to be able to make sure every single bit of it ends up in the schedule that you're building. There's also no systematic verification that everything made it in. Again, like I said, none of the tools that we know of, and we researched it, seem to have any kind of focus on that problem, and which is a shame because it's a really expensive problem to have. Human memory and checklists, they're just not reliable at a big scale, especially, like, I would say even for medium-sized projects, maybe even for small projects, just like having things in your head, or just like really basic checklists, they don't usually cut it. So the cost, I'm going to kind of gloss over this because I think it's pretty obvious why missing scope from your schedule is bad. The exact details depend on what kind of company you are, like if you're like an owner, or if you're a contractor or what have you. But it's enormously expensive to miss scope, especially if you're making promises around, like, there's some contractual obligations there, and or like, it could be that you have to put in change orders if you're on the other side, so it's very, very expensive to miss scope, and the tooling isn't there, right? So this isn't really a planning failure. It really is a gap in our tooling currently, right? So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you today, it kind of helps augment the stuff that we're already doing, right? Because we're obviously, most companies are obviously working hard to, like, with reviews and everything, to try to prevent this, but it really depends. There's really a bit of a tooling gap there, right? So, and again, a bold statement, but I think I'm going to convince you of that today. Okay, so why do traditional approaches fall short? Peer reviews, they catch some things, but they don't catch everything, right? And it's also the kinds of things that they catch. So it's like, it really depends on it really depends on the situation that you're in. It can be different for different, like, company cultures and different industries and things of that nature. But overall, having some sort of systematic real-time check on your work, it catches a different category of issue than what reviews catch. Checklists become stale or get skipped. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. No real-time feedback during schedule creation. A lot of these things, they tend to be sort of, like, after the fact, right? We look back and we say, like, hey, like, we missed something, or we made some mistakes here, which is kind of what this last point is about as well, that the reviews, they happen at the end. They don't happen during the build. And so, the later on these problems are allowed to remain unnoticed, the bigger the problem they become. So what's the big shift in our industry? So basically, there's I think right now over the next like few months to years, there's like several of these, right? But the one that I want to focus on today is like, what if your tools could schedule or could check the schedule for you? Or, not it's actually not just the schedule. What if they could check your project data, whatever that is, whether it's the schedule or kind of the the pieces around it, right? Resources and risks and even things like documents and stuff like that. What if those things could be checked on in a systematic way? And that's kind of, I think the way that the industry is going is that we're gonna be seeing a lot more of these where you have this sort of data validation that's deeply ingrained in the tools that we use. So that brings me to sort of our take on the problem, which is guardrails. Now, I say our take because a lot of other companies, a lot of other systems are going to come out, and we're gonna see, people are going to look at this from different angles. But here's our take on the problem. We have a system called guardrails, and I'm going to show you in the demo, where we're going to get a little bit more concrete. But bear with me here as we look at it from like 10,000 feet for now. Guardrails are an automated validation system that they basically put rules and requirements of your project that were often either in your head at worst, or possibly in like an Excel file somewhere, or in like a PDF somewhere. They codify it into your project data in a way where you can be very, very confident. Excuse me. You can be very confident that the schedule you're turning in or what have you agree, or they meet the requirements of the project. And so one point that we always bring up is this is not replacing human judgment. Far from it. It's augmenting it. In fact, human judgment, I would say, this stuff like this, and you'll see why in a minute, allow the human experts to be able to drive the system at a higher level than what we do now. So also the systematic checks, they run continuously. They run as you're building, they run later on, right? If you get a change order months down the road and you need to make big updates to your project data, your schedule, what have you, the checks make sure that if there's something that you codified in the system and you forgot about it, which is, there's sometimes, there's like thousands of these requirements, later on down the road, we still make sure that we stay on track. And then the other part is that we like the system. One of the things that really make it stand apart from the existing tools is the custom validation. So systematic checks, that part will probably sound familiar. Your company probably uses a lot of these tools that check schedule data and things. Like they're usually very they're usually kind of generic, but they're very popular for a reason, because you have to make sure that there's some benchmark that you're meeting here at least, right? But in terms of custom validation, there are some projects where the requirements are very specific to that project, right? So you might have, and we're going to see that in a second, but like, to take an example, if things with like civil construction and stuff, often there will be like a traffic chart where there will be all sorts of rules, like sometimes thousands of these rules that are given to you, that are things like you can't close this intersection and this intersection at the same time. One of them has to remain open, or this lane on the right, you open it from this time to this time, and you can close it for construction only these times and only on the weekend, for example. Right? Those are very common requirements that that you might get. Again, right now they kind of either live in our head, or in the case of like traffic charts and stuff, that's in like a PDF somewhere. It's very common and it's no surprise, like I said, it's very common for us to run into issues where these things get missed, right, when you have like thousands of these over time. So that's our guardrail system, but I want to zoom in on a specific kind of guardrail, and that's the one that I really want to show off today, which is the scope completion guardrail. So this guardrail, scope completion, it ensures one of the most obvious things about your schedule, which is that you need to be scope complete. So how that works very broadly is you have a deliverables list, and everything in that deliverables list has to be in the schedule. So the deliverables list basically is just here, what's our scope, and break it down for me, right? And so like one deliverable could be like 1,000 tasks in the schedule, like if it's like it's some big like boiler that we're installing or something, or it could just be one task in the schedule, like it's some check that we have to do, or some document that we already have that we have to submit or something. Then in that case, it could literally just be one task in the schedule, right? But the deliverables list ensures that we have a well-defined list that represents our scope, so we understand what the full scope is. So the AI agent helps you build this list from your data. And as you'll see, there's like a common pattern that you're going to see here, which is that every piece of work that the AI agent does is, first of all, optional. You can do it completely manually if you prefer. If it's something that's like, some really hot piece of the process that you're just like, I can't have I can't have anybody touching this except for me. You have that option. And also, when the AI agent helps with things, those things are reviewable and approvable by you, right? So you still stay in control of over it, but it still allows you to parse these like thousands of pages of what have you, specs, or in our case, what we're about to see is a statement of work, and being able to parse all that out and give you a list of deliverables that you have to deliver in order to complete your project. So the guardrail, and this is getting into some details here, so I'm going to gloss over this because we're going to see it, but it cross-references what's in your schedule against this list, right? So you can, when you submit your schedule, you're very confident that everything in my schedule here, or everything in my scope is in the schedule. And the source of truth is explicit, again, not in someone's head. It's really about codifying this this work into a kind of centralized system, right? Okay, so a little bit more details about how it works. This is just one workflow. It depends on the kind of project you're doing. From here, this is just one example where I'm describing how if you start with some documents, like if you have a statement of work like we're about to see, an RFP, specs, old schedules, right? It could even be things like lessons learned documents and things like this. As a starting point, the agent can actually help you identify all the deliverables from those documents. And again, we care very much about this step, which is we allow the expert to review everything before moving on to the next step. So it's not, one of the big things that, and you'll that's why you'll hear me repeating this a lot, as I already have a couple times. One of the big things with like AI tooling is that, like the kind of our first drafts of AI tools, like about a year ago, they were like sort of like black boxy, where like, everything happens in a black box and you don't really understand how it works, but it gives you some results, and then you have to go manually look through the results. Like those are the those are the most primitive AI tools, and things are kind of not, that's not the direction we're going, just as an industry anymore. So you'll see me talking about this a lot, but once you get data, you review it. Once if the AI made any kind of decisions in terms of logic, you review it, you work with it you iterate until you get the result that you're after. So you review, and then that gives you the deliverables list, which is the authoritative source of truth for your scope. And that goes, and actually before I move on about the review, if you have other sources, like commonly you'll have like, hey, here's an email with like some extra details that weren't in the documents, or here's some other documents somewhere that I want to pull in. All of these are living documents, including the deliverables list. And if there's like a change order or something later on, that list will grow, and the system accounts for that. That's something where the scope can grow, and we can work around it, update the schedule and all that, right? So the deliverables list then goes to the guardrail engine, which validates everything. And once that happens, it gives you actionable, like, hey, we have to update this, we have to do this, here's a piece that's missing or whatever. And the agent can also help you build and refine that, right? And again, every time you see agent here, agent extracts, agent helps build the schedule, these are all optional, where you can pick and choose the automation that works for that project. Okay, so what does that look like in practice? So I want to show you, I'm going to show you the way it's going to work is, before I get into the guardrails, I want to actually create a schedule from a statement of work, so that we have a starting point, and then from there we're going to do the deliverables list and everything. So let me start with this though. So that the demo is basically in 3 parts. This is the first part. So what I'm going to do is let me minimize this for a second, and let's look at this. This is this is a scope of work, and the scope of work is from the state of New Jersey. It's for an industrial project where they want to replace a steam boiler at one of their 2 steam boilers at one of their facilities. We commonly use stuff like this because it's fully public. We can't show customer data, obviously. So let me just just show you what this document is about, and then we'll see like what we can do with it. So okay, this is the table of contents, and then these are just qualifications, and then we get into the budget. We're not going to get into this now, but the tool can also do cost and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into that because we're focusing on the guardrails for today. But and then we get into the project schedule, the phases of the schedule, the consultant's proposed design construction schedule. Okay, I'm going to get into the details of the schedule, and then we get into the responsibilities, aka deliverables, right? These are the things that we're going to be delivering through the course of this project. So you have the removal and replacement of the boilers, right? There's 2 boilers. And then there's going to be all sorts of documents, the load calculations, boiler design criteria. And then there's the actual there's the pump, that's not a document, drawings, et cetera, right? Now it's going to go obviously through quite a bit of detail here. These are we're still talking about deliverables, and then and then we get into some more details. So let's see what we can do with it. So I actually recorded a video. Let me show that. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to choose the document that I just showed you. I'm going to upload it. This is our system here. real world, I would give it a lot more details about exactly how we want to build it, and any details that we need for it to be able to to do a good job on things. But in this case, I literally just said it's industrial construction, like literally nothing else. And I'm uploading the document. So it doesn't really have that many hints. And what it's going to do is it's going to start, you can see it's kind of cut off, but there's a spinner on the bottom right there. What it's doing is it's gonna start analyzing the document that I just showed you. It's gonna start looking through. Right now, it's just like grabbing the attachments, opening it, grabbing the data from inside, and it's gonna start building the schedule, right? So this part is kind of boring as it gets opens everything up and figures things out. So while it's doing that, let me just briefly, explain that if you haven't seen agents at work like this before, working on something, there's a few things to know about it. First of all, a lot of the stuff that you see here is not, you can mostly ignore it if it's just like, hey, let me read this file, let me search through the schedule, etc. It is basically working through and kind of zeroing in on the problem at hand, right? That's kind of what it's doing. And so you'll see that as it goes through, it will like right now, for example, what it's starting to do is it's building out the guardrails. Remember we talked about the guardrails? It identified automatically that there are some operational guardrails here, right? So one of them is the operational continuity. Like you can't in this project, you can't go without heating. So there's two boilers, you have to replace one, and then once that's operational, then you replace the other. It's very simple, but it created a guardrail for that. And now you see there's duration limits that were also in the document. There's seasonal restriction, like we cannot replace these boilers during the winter, like during the heating months, because let me pause for a second just so I can explain that part. We can't create or we can't replace the heaters during the heating months. And the reason for that is, I mean, it's obvious, but now that's a problem with that's a requirement for our project, right? So let's say later on I make some big updates for some reason to the schedule. I could forget the fact that, well, if I move something over, now one of the boiler replacements, coincides with, a few days or a few weeks of cold weather, right? If that happens, well, I want the system to immediately tell me, hey, you can't do that actually, because this is one of the project's requirements, and now you're in violation of it, right? So we're going to get back to these guardrails. It created them because it was analyzing the schedule. So we're going to get right back to them in the next video. But for now, what it's doing is it built out on the left here what we call planning steps, which these planning steps basically allow us to break the problem down into smaller pieces, where we can review and approve the output of each piece before we move on to the next one. So for example, the first one here is calendars. You can see it's running. It's going to start building these calendars. And once the calendars are built, and I'm going to click on it here so we can take a look. Once the calendars are built, we can review. We can make sure, hey, are these the calendars we wanted? Is this actually according to the requirements? Now, a lot of companies, they're not really going to have, hey, build the calendars and then build the WBS, because we have there's the same calendar, the same set of calendars and the same WBS for all of our projects, in which case you would just not do those steps. But for in this case, there are things that are specific to the scope of work that we attached here. So we got those out of it. So here's the WBS. I'm showing it in a tab here. Now, again, the calendars, the WBS, I can go modify these. I can rename them. I can restructure the whole thing. I can drag and drop and put them somewhere else. I can be like, no, I don't want this whole, just delete this. This is out of scope or what have you, before moving on to the scheduling step. So what that does is that it ensures that by the time we get to scheduling, all of this other stuff is approved. It's exactly what we wanted, and so you kind of steer the ship before it gets out of course, right? You steer it from the very beginning, so we know, like, okay, this is this is the WBS that we use. And like I said, for a lot of companies, you wouldn't even do this. Like, you just have a WBS. Some companies will have like a WBS like this, but it changed like 10% of it or something changes for each schedule, but for the most part, they're the same. So with all that done, now the system is going to start building out the schedule, and we'll see that in a second here as it works. It's just going to go through, and again, you'll see that it's like, zeroing in on the problem and everything. And so let me just wait a second. There we go, for that to pop up. Now the schedule is built out, and yeah, we're basically ready now for the next step, right? So what we did here so far, just to recap, from one single scope of work document, we were able to build our calendars, our WBS, and in a real schedule, in a real project, we would also just do the deliverables as one of these steps. I did not do that here because so we can, just so I can zoom in on it a little bit and show you how that works. But the deliverables would also be done. And also, by the way, the guardrails are up here, and we're going to get to that in a second. So from just that one document that was, I showed it to you, it was very clearly written for humans, right? It's just a PDF. We were able to extract all that information and build a schedule from it. Okay, so from that, now let's go to building the deliverables, right? This is the next step. Now this here is the exact same schedule that we just built, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask the agent, okay, now I want a deliverables list from the attachments, from the files that I attached, right? And I'm telling it, be thorough, update our project deliverables with all of your findings and everything. Okay, so very simple prompt. We don't have to, we don't have to do any of the crazy like prompt engineering stuff, right? The agent is very good at kind of zeroing in on the problem that you give it, and so so that's what it's going to start to do here. So we're going to see in a second as we build this out. I hope I included the right video here of the I may have actually made a little mistake here. My apologies. Let me see if I can't build schedule deliverables. Oh yeah, here it is. So okay, let me get to that. My mistake. So here's just the continuation of that, where when I asked it for the deliverables list, you can see here. Let me the deliverables list on the left here. As it identifies the deliverables, it starts to build them out. So you can see that there's 4 deliverables here, and they're gonna be. I can't remember how many there were at the end, but it was like more than 100, right? So it's gonna extract 100 or more of these deliverables that we saw. We kind of went through, like we glossed over it, but that's kind of what I want to do with like 1,000-page PDF. I don't really want to like I want to review, not do everything from scratch. And so that's what it's doing for me here. It's grabbing all the deliverables, and the rest of this video is just them streaming in. But basically, it's just identifying all of them and putting them in this deliverables list for me here. All right, and so yeah, we can kind of go to the next video, but just know that it keeps going for another couple of minutes, and it gives us like 100 of these deliverables. Okay, cool. So now you can see I clicked on this, and now I have the guardrails tab open, and that's what we're looking at here. You can see the deliverables are already in my system, and I have all of the guardrails. Before fixing the scope, which is like the whole point of what I'm trying to show you, but just like let me just gloss over this very quickly. That seasonal work window, because we're in the winter months right now, you can see that if we start execution, we will have a problem where we're going to replace the boilers at the same time as well, it's going to be sometime in February, and so, or sometime this month, and so you can see that we're actually violating this this guardrail here, and so again, like, you know, this is a project requirement from the state of New Jersey, and you can see here that we have a we're violating it. Just going over, you know, just glossing over that, I can click propose fix here and get a few different fixes for what we can do to make sure that we're not replacing boilers in the winter. But I just wanted to gloss over that to show you that it's not just about scope. That's just one of the things we're zooming in on today. So, okay, but we're going to go back to the scope here. And so you can see that we have 93 deliverables that were actually not scheduled. They're not in the schedule. So I'm going to click propose fix. And what the agent is going to do now is it's going to take a look, the same thing that you saw before, where it kind of zeroes in on the problem. It does a bunch of analysis. It can go read from a bunch of different places to understand why these deliverables are not in there, and the nature of the deliverables, and what has to go in the schedule in order to make sure that these deliverables are you know, going to be delivered through the course of the project. So okay, so I can skip ahead here for like a few seconds. Okay, so it's given me now a few options, and the few options are things like, well, you know, the last option is not what we want to disable the the guardrail, but you know, it gave me options for, well, you can add the missing tasks in the schedule, which would, you know, make it so that the schedule is now delivering these 93 missing items. And so what I'm telling you here is, okay, create the missing tasks, and also if there are any false positives, make sure that they reference their deliverables. And so what that does is basically, if you know, if something was just worded a little bit differently, sometimes it will trigger. So we'll say, okay, just go through and basically fix it. I want to make sure that all these deliverables here are in my schedule, and I want to make sure that they're, you know, they use the correct wording so that I can tell later on that, yes, this belongs to this deliverable. So that's what it's going to go through and do. Just a very simple prompt, and from here it's going to go through, and it's going to identify the problems, and it's going to zero in. And over time, this 93 deliverables which are not accounted for are going to you're going to see them decreasing over time. So I can kind of skip through it here. How are we on time? I can kind of skip through it here, and you can see 60 deliverables already have tasks, 33 need new tasks. So it identified the ones that, you just have to update the description. The description was not descriptive enough, right, to explain that this goes with this deliverable, and then some of them literally don't have any tasks. So those are real problems that we're fixing in our schedule. So you'll notice one thing also, that as this thing is working, well, first of all, you can see that as it's working, it's updating the schedule in real time in order to fix our problem, to make sure that the schedule is scope complete. One thing that you'll notice is that I can go work on other things in parallel as this thing is chugging through and fixing the schedule for me, right? I can go work on other things, come back and review the work that it did. I can even literally leave my computer, shut everything down. You don't have to keep the tab open or anything like that. Shut everything down, come back, and then my schedule is ready. I can review it, or go to the next guardrails. Actually, in practice, you could tell the agent, hey, I want you to fix all the guardrails, right? Literally every single one, and it will go through each one and fix it. In a case like that, you should give it enough information, though, in case it has questions, right? It could be well, I don't know exactly what you want me to do about the seasonal work. There's different ways to fix that, and so it'll propose a few, but you could just tell it, I want you to do this in order to make sure we're not replacing boilers in the winter, and it'll go through and fix all of these guardrails for us, so that by the end of it, we're very confident that any rules that we put in here, any project requirements that we put in here, are correct in the schedule, right? The other thing I wanted to mention is that these guardrails that we have here, like the seasonal work, right, like the maintain heating during what have you, whatever that is, right? Basically the winter months or whatever. All that stuff is specific to this project. It's not it was able to identify that. But if you have other things that are specific to your work or your company, you can add these these custom guardrails completely yourself. You can tell the agent hey, we have this problem. It could be down to even things hey, this schedule has to be DCMA compliant or what have you, right? Some people have requirements like that. It can understand all that stuff. It will add that to the system and make sure that the schedules that you generate, they all line up with your requirements, right? What else did I want to mention here about the guardrails? So for those custom, let me give you a few more examples of things, right? So we talked about civil construction. A weird common thing that we run into is, like I said, this intersection cannot be closed at the same time as this other intersection. We have to make sure that one is open and not the other. It could be things this highway exit, you can't close two consecutive highway exits. You can close 101 and 102, 100 and 102, but if 100 is closed, you can't close 101 at the same time. You have to wait until 100 is finished. We finished the maintenance we're doing on it, and then we can open 101, right? So just an example, things like that, where these are operational requirements, like execution strategy, where like I said, if they might be sitting in a PDF or something somewhere, but you really want them codified in your system. And I hope you can see what I mean when I say custom, as opposed to some of the off-the-shelf tools. I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm talking about. Things that just check your schedule, make sure that everything is good to go, right? They're very generic, right? This the guardrail system will make sure that your very specific requirements, no matter how specific they are to your company or your industry, can be built into the system. And unlike those external tools, this system works as you are building the schedule. So it keeps everything on track from the beginning, right? So okay, I've been yapping this whole time about guardrails, but you can see, now the scope completion is done. And then all of the missing tasks that were not in the schedule are now they're correctly in the schedule. So we can be confident about that. Like I said, the rest of them, it's quicker in practice than it is in these videos where I'm trying to talk through it and break every piece up as much as possible so that we can kind of talk about it. But in practice, you basically have a list of guardrails and you're like, listen, I need the schedule to conform to this, right? And you can go back to the schedule after and then check the work. Okay. All right. So that was the demos. Okay. So we actually went through demos 1, 2, and 3, fixing the scope gaps. We went through all of these. And so just to kind of wrap this up, I already talked about a lot of this stuff as I was, talking, but, it really does give you the confidence to know, mathematically, right? Using hard proofs that this thing is correct according to the rules that we set. And so you can be very confident that just like delegating to, a colleague or delegating to a whole team, when you delegate to an AI agent, it's the same deal. It's like, I have to make sure that, all of these rules are met. And so this gives you that confidence to know, all right? We actually built this around the AI agent, but this system turned out to be so powerful that it is not just about AI, right? This will produce better results than any of the legacy scheduling tools out there. Faster reviews, of course, because you have the systematic validation, you really catch these issues very early as you're working. And living validations, like kind of the same deal, you catch them early before anything, drifts off course too much, right? So the bigger picture, we already glossed over this, but scope completion is just one piece of the puzzle here. Guardrails are capable of a lot more than that, actually. The framework, it supports all sorts of checks, quality checks, like we talked about, logic validation, but even things like, execution strategy and things of that nature that are very specific to the project that you are currently working on can be built into the system. Schedules that actively resist common problems, right? This is one of those things where for enterprise users especially, they're like, okay, well, this is how we operate. And so, can the system be molded to that? And the answer, of course, is yes, it can, because you can have your own custom guardrails that are default to every project that you work on. So I create a new project. I want to know every single project from here on out meets these rules. I can now do that. Cool. And then questions. That's pretty much what I had for the demo. I think that leaves us with about 10 minutes or so of questions. Okay, Salim.
Yes. Thanks, Hassan, for your time and beautiful demo. I have a question. I live in Germany, and most of our schedules or all of our schedules are in German. So would I be able to use a German schedule here with your tool?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we get that question a few times for various languages. The agent can actually understand a bunch of languages. At the the agent itself, like under the hood, is using LLMs to be able to do
Yeah.
that work,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it can understand really any common language. But I can tell you, especially German is going to be
Okay.
an easy. All right.
Okay, sure. But the user interface is going to be in English, right?
The
Like,
user interface is in English. So
okay.
we actually got this request for different languages,
Okay.
and it is on our roadmap. But it's not.
Okay.
It's currently the agent can speak German, but the interface is going to be in English. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would it be possible to get a demo version or something, a demo account, so that I can try it in my company and explain to my colleagues?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
That actually goes for, everybody. If you guys want to try it out, we would love like the more like real world kind of usage that it gets, the better that the product gets. And so please let me know. There's going to be an email after this that should go out to
Mhm.
everybody. Just respond and tell me the email that you use to sign up, because you can go sign up now. It's at lpm.com. And if there's if you just sign up with that, please let me know, and I can go add credits to your account so that you can use it.
Sure, perfect. Thank you, Hassan. Thanks a lot.
Of course, yeah. Thanks so much. Let's see, more questions. I see that there's been some questions in the chat. Can I export the output to XCR file? Yes, you can. So you can do XCR, and you can export it as an Excel as well. Jeffrey.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks very much for the fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
So what you're saying basically is once we upload the documentation, yeah, we're able to generate like a baseline schedule, yeah, that is DCMA compliant. Now, would you happen to have a trial period for this platform that you've created, or did you write this program yourself, or?
Yeah, I'm the CTO, so yeah, for the most part. So in terms of trial, so you can go try it out, the public site. If you need like an NDA and stuff like that, we can do a pilot program at your company, but that is a paid pilot program, right? That's just our policy, but yeah, we can do either one. And so, like I said, if you want to try it like sort of personally to see, to try it out on your projects, very happy to just put some credits, because the free version already has some credits, but it's not a lot, right? You can build a schedule, but you're not going to be able to like necessarily do everything we talked about. So just you'll get an email after this, and if you just respond and you're like, hey, can you put, like, I signed up to OWL with this email, can you add credits? I'll go add credits for you, so that you can like really get a feel for it. And then just let me know if it wasn't enough,
So you're following the lovable model where you've got to update like credits on a monthly basis. Is that how it works, or you pay a subscription? Or
it's either or. It's either or. So you can do a subscription, or you can do a just like loading up credits. And for our enterprise is completely unlimited everything, but the enterprise, it's like it's more for companies, right? So I don't know if you're asking on like it's just like you want to implement this at your company, or if you're just doing it personally.
Well, we're just to give you some heads up. We're a consultancy, of course. We've been thinking about this, and we will like to sort of have something that works within the consultancy, of course, where we can build projects, dummy projects for, of course, And we would also like that to be integrated into like a 4D, 3D model schedule where we can quickly, see what the end game may be, or how the end game would look, or rather. So is this, do you have, for example, like a standard 30 gigawatts DC project? Can this sort of generate that without any documentation, or you always have to put a documentation to generate anything at all?
Yeah, so you can. You mean like a sort of like a feed schedule, something very early? You absolutely can, yeah. Of course, it's not going to be as detailed, right? Like with the proper documentation, just like with that, I mean, it's not different from just doing it manually, where like if you're building like a project where you get into like the nitty-gritty detail and you call it like level 4 or whatever. But for like a feed schedule like that without any kind of documentation, you absolutely can. You can even, I didn't really show this because I was like focused on the guardrails for today, but you can even import XER files from your previous schedules and use those either as a starting point or even just as a reference. So for example, you can get like your durations or your WBS, that sort of thing, but keep everything else sort of what's it called, like new, right? Like, just like based on like you work with the agent in order to build out a schedule like that very, very quickly.
Yeah, but sorry guys, just last question. I think my advice for you would be, yeah, of course. It was really very interesting when you brought out the boilers, because I've actually been like a shutdown planner of a major power station. So I've actually worked in that. So that was really very good. But then of course it would be great if you had like if the platform could generate like a standard schedule across a wide-ranging project without any documentation at all. Now, what the documentation does is just to standardize it with some of the
Got it.
some of the variables, right? Okay, because I give you an example. So I'm new to pharmaceuticals, for example, and it's pretty much the same as the battery projects, right? Okay, so if I wanted to see like a thorough, like a proper pharmaceutical project or like a construction project, I would expect that your platform can give me something, showing from construction to commissioning with a standard WBS, with some maybe reasonable WBS level 4, 5, not so detailed, or if detailed at all, but something like that with the links to the commissioning and all that. Then you have stuff going on there, because it helps to dive into projects and just see the logic and all that. For some planners that are new to different sectors, you just want to understand left and right, how the project flows from left to right and all that, and just to see how you can understand how activities are interacting. So I would expect that. Then when you put in the documentation, of course, you now want to see how the variables are sort of impacting the schedule from a very, very from a very specific perspective, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we actually do support that, where you can build a generic schedule like that based on the industry. Now, the actual data that drives it, we don't share any kind of data between customers, and so that would have to be supplied by you still. But if it's for a completely new industry that you've never worked on before, it would try its best, but it's not enough data to.
So you're saying that if I tapped on your platform and I say, okay, give me like a reasonable schedule, let's say level 4 or 5 for a DC project, what will it do without adding anything else? Would it come up with anything whatsoever?
It could, but it would probably ask you questions. It would be like, hey, can you expand a little bit, because that's not enough information.
So what I would be expecting to look at, like, okay, build me a schedule for 10 gigawatt data center.
It could do that, yeah. it could do that. Yeah, you should give it a try. Actually, give it a try. It will build a schedule for you. Let me get to just like a couple of very quick questions here. Our client uses weightage to change cost on project divisions. Could that be understood? Yes, we've done that before, where guardrails can run the weightage distribution for you and come out with a tell you that, hey, this thing is you have too many resources assigned to this WBS or that one, and you can even use your own custom formula for that. How about resource assignments? They work just fine. You can assign your resource, you can generate resources or import them from somewhere else, and they work fine. So Hakan, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Hassan, for the great demonstration. I just wanted to understand what's the LLM you're using in the background? Are you using ChatGPT or Notebook LM or something different, or you just build it yourself? Because my worry is if the large language model is start hallucinating, it could guide us to the wrong conclusions. So what's the solution to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's really two parts to that, which is, first of all, that we use the latest models, right? The exact mix, it just depends on the kind of work that you're doing, but the latest research makes it so that the LLM hallucination rate is much lower than it was before. So that's the first part. The second part is that hallucinations happen mostly because of eagerness to give you an answer no matter what. And we've trained our models, and we've given the tools around it to make sure that it's not like that. It will ask you questions. Like I was just saying with Jeff, like if you just say, hey, give me this generic schedule, it's going to be like, hey, can you give me some more details about it, right? And so that ensures that there's as little of that as possible, because that's really where the hallucinations come from, where it just doesn't have data to answer something, and so it will make something up, basically. So that's
I would like to add that also that the guardrails, keep the hallucination down or very low, because it reiterates if there is any of these hallucinations.
By the way, the guardrails. By the way, this is my business partner. By the way, but the guardrails, they are not LLM based. That's another thing, is that there's a set of tools around this that make sure that you get the best possible result out of the tool. And the way that the guardrails do that is with like a closed loop thing. It is not. It is completely deterministic, right? So every time you run guardrails, you get the exact same answer no matter what, right? So we use that. That's another point where we use that to make sure that the result is exactly as we expect. So there's a couple more questions in the chat here. I can read them. Do you have some kind of dictionary or pre-made projects library to use in order to enhance our projects to the next level? That's a really good point. And right now, we actually do that for our enterprise customers, but where we have like a library of here's all the reference material, whether it's schedules like you're saying, but even other things, right, around the schedule, documents, etc. And it's very specific to that company. What we don't have at the moment is something that's more general purpose for like a whole industry that's available on like the public site. But You know, I'm going to take a note on that. That is a really good point. Like just having some kind of a library, but instead of for enterprise, but like it's like for the public site. So I think that's a really good point. But no, we don't have that at the moment. We need to make delay analysis report according template every month. Can this to make it for me? Yes, it can. So we didn't really get into this, but one of the use cases that we support is the forensic side and the time delay analysis, and where the agent can systematically apply fragnets to various places in the schedule in order to do analysis on what got delayed and etc. So that is something that we support. Yeah. Did I miss anything? Any questions, or does anybody else have their hand up that I didn't get to? Please show me how to export mapping sheet. I made it in front of each activity to have a column for reference item number from BOQ. How to export a mapping sheet? I mean, each. Yeah. So okay. For situations like that. So if you are creating a sheet like that, you would tell the agent to create a document for you, and the document comes out as a PDF. So it's not a sheet at the moment. That is something that we can add, but right now it comes out as a PDF with a table, and that PDF and the table can be backed by your data, and so it can actually build that. Using, like I said, if there's other kinds of like formulas and stuff that you use for those, the agent can learn about those and build the schedule, or the table based on that. But it comes out as a PDF currently. So in that case, what you would ask the agent is go ahead and build a document that does this. Hopefully that answers your question. Some kind of project documents are the PO, CO, TIA, EOT claims, and many PM mails with client. Are those data helpful for the new project? Yes, absolutely. It basically, the way I think of that is, if you have a, the way that you would delegate to a colleague is what you should be doing with the agent as well. So the agent, it's going to need more or less the same data that your colleague needs, right? So if you're telling your colleague, I need to build the schedule, and by the way, the client said this, and they sent us this document, and you should use that document for reference to do this, and here's some claims documents from last time. The same kind of good communication with your colleague is going to be extremely helpful with the agent as well, because that's going to give it the clear, defined tasks to understand what it needs to do, if that makes sense. Hopefully that answered your question. But yeah, the short answer is yes, absolutely. It's useful to include. It's useful to include more than you think. is my experience. Like I think because AI agentic work is like, it's kind of new still, and people haven't like fully adapted to it. So I think that people expect that it can kind of just it's not going to create data from nothing, is my point. And so the same way that you would tell a colleague, hey, like here's all this stuff that you need in order to do this, you would do the same with the agent. Can I use it to extract forecast cash flow for the project procurement? So we, like I said, we do cost forecast cash flow. So we do cost where you can create like cost accounts and everything. But for forecasts, yes, you could. Yeah. So we haven't. It's a pro feature though, but we have a system for analytics where you can build your forecasts and things in your system, and get reports and graphs out of it. So you can do that, but you'd have to work with the agent to build that out. 60 credits is enough for which type of product scale. I tried for IQ, 150 items. The credit run out. The credits ran out. Okay, can you send me an email, and I'll add some credits so you can try it out. It really depends on. It's so hard to map that to a specific project scale. There is a correlation, obviously, but at the same time, depends on the kind of work. If you're giving it a ton of documents and there's a lot of calculations that has to do along the way, it does eat through those credits. So just if you could send me an email. By the way, I can post my email here. There's my email as well. So if anybody wants to send me an email or anything about that, please do, and we can sort that. I can tell you that the free version, because the the actual AI it is very expensive to run it. So the free version is like, yeah, it only gives you a few credits. So just email me and we can figure that out. Okay, as we all know, the activity relationship is more critical on any project schedule. What's the current efficiency of the tool in establishing relationships? And do we have an option for customizing certain relationships in the tool itself, or else we have to export XCR through? That great question. So first of all, to answer the second question first, yeah, you can edit it in the tool itself. You can open the Gantt chart and double click on the bar, double click on like the taskbar, and a slide out window it'll slide out, and you can go make the modifications. You can say, hey, this is a start a relationship or what have you. Yeah, you can do all that. As for the how does it know? That's a great question. That really mostly depends on the data that you train it on. And so if there's a specific kind of project, and most of the time there is, even if for a very unique project, you might be like, well, here's a schedule that I know is built well according to our requirements, and I want you to use that as reference, including the links, the predecessors, right? So it can use that. Otherwise, it's using kind of our like best practices for the industry, which may not be specific to your project, but it does the best it can without a data from your end in order to help guide it. Hopefully that answers the question. How much the credits cost? The credits, you'll see it on the after update. We need to solve that. Let's see. Yes, yeah. So to answer your first question, like it depends on a few things, but there's like a subscription that gives you a bunch of credits and every month, and then there's you can buy like a $20 credit pack basically. So after updates, we need to solve you can solve those inside the tool. You can work with the agent. It's designed from the beginning to not you don't have to push out to Primavera. Of course you can once everything is ready to go if you want, but as you're working on the schedule, everything can be done inside the tool, including the links and the durations and everything. You can modify them completely manually in addition to what the agent is doing. So you can ask the agent after the fact, hey, I have all these problems with these out of sequence tasks. Can you fix those for me? By the way, you can import that from P6. So if you have some P6 schedule already, you can grab that. You can import it into OWL, and then make those changes. Or if it was something that you created in OWL in the first place, you can have the agent go through and fix things, or you can do it manually if it's like a very specific targeted fix, and it's just like, just let me do it, man. You know what I mean? Like you would in P6, you can do that as well. Hopefully that answers the question. Thanks, Hassan, for the clarity. Thank you very much. How much does it cost annually for a personal subscription? We don't have any annual plans right now. We have a $30 a month. Thank you, Mustafa, for joining. We have a $30 a month and $150 a month, and this obviously gives you way more credits to do the 150, but the $30 a month is there as well for personal work. Cool. I think we kind of put a little buffer in there. We got a lot of questions, actually. I really appreciate, guys, everybody with the questions. I really appreciate you all. Thank you very much for your time. Please, guys, just feel free to email me whenever if you have any questions or anything like that, or if you just want to chat, you know, don't be a stranger. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mahmoud. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Hassan.
Thank
Just
you.
before you go, Hassan, just before you go, what
please.
you created there was in MSP, or in what software did you generate those schedules in? By the way?
An owl. Yeah, we did it in an owl.
In our, and can that be converted to MSP or XCR file, or?
Yeah, you can export as an XCR into
and it's well fixed with the programming and all that. It syncs well.
Yeah, it syncs well. You can do both. Import into OWL, import into P6, vice versa. You can go back and forth.
Absolutely. All right then. No worries. We'll reach out to you then. Okay then. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Hassan. Wonderful tool. Thank you very much. Thanks for the kind words, guys. We need to social communicate. Oh, by the way, we're actually creating a Discord just for that. We'll have the OWL users, and we'll have the whole team, and we'll have a bunch of project management experts in there, and we'll be able to communicate and we'll have a direct channel and like a whole community where we can help each other. So hold on for I'll message everybody that joined here as well for that. So thank you, Muhammad, for the suggestion. Well, we're actually already on it. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining. Have a good one, everybody.